So you guys may know a guy named Tommy Robinson. I didn't know who he was until today. You may have heard of him as of recent, just of yesterday. Basically, he was arrested, and there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding going around that I see a lot happening on the right, whether it happens with Alfie Evans or Charlie Gard or whatever. They seem to kind of latch on to these, statements that they like to just constantly state over and over without actually knowing any of the facts or about the situation at all. And what I think Tommy's trying to be is a free speech martyr here. I think that he's trying to look as if he's a free speech martyr who's essentially, this guy who's persecuted by the UK and they're getting him for political reasons, which is completely false. He's not being persecuted for political beliefs whatsoever. This is a complete victim job, and we see this happening with a lot of people on the right, where they're making these victim complexes to then raise more money and then become more popular. And it's embarrassing because the people who are falling for it are their fans. But so he was arrested and charged in contempt of court. Now here's what the Independent says. It says, contempt of court is a criminal offense that can see people jailed for speeches or publications that create a, quote, substantial risk that the course of justice in the proceedings in question will be seriously impeded or prejudiced. Robinson is already under a suspended sentence for committing contempt of court over a gang rape case heard in Canterbury last year. So that's very important. Basically, he already knows what this is because as he was getting arrested, he was saying, this is contempt of court. Oh, I didn't know that, which is total BS because it's happened to him before. And it goes on to say, Judge Heather Norton handed him a 3 months imprisonment in May last year, but suspended it for 18 months on the condition he did not commit further offenses. So he didn't end up, he I guess was given a 3 month imprisonment, but it's been suspended, it's being suspended for 18 months. With the notion that he won't do it again, with the that's part of the deal, is that he won't do it again. So he already knows about this, and that's why he was sentenced so quick, was because they've already gone through this. And so what you're looking at here, and this is the problem, is when you get into real details of issues, right? The masses and the just lack of actual information or detail on the right kind of prevails. And the lack of understanding, because this takes time to research, especially when it comes to law and different countries' laws, and it starts to become very confusing, and the right and the masses don't really pay attention to details. They prefer to stick to platitudes and constant statements of, free speech martyrs and UK is anti-free speech. So basically what this is there's basically these trials that have been going on. There are multiple trials going on for the rest of the year of this case, I guess, of these people who had raped kids. And so the UK has these specific laws where as long as a trial is going on, you're unable to report on the trial, because what it will do is it basically brings the case, the trial, into jeopardy, because the way that they're reporting on it will endanger the jury as well as the legal proceedings that go on. And I've read that there's a possibility that the people who are the child molesters, they are going to be filing for a mistrial. Now, the mistrial is basically, it's saying that this trial didn't work out and you're going to have to refile for another trial because there was just a failure to come to a conclusion. And this brings it into, his reporting outside of it brings it into jeopardy. Now, here's what Heather Norton said. She said, this is back at the time, this is before when he first got the first 3 months. She said, this is not about free speech, not about the freedom of the press, nor about legitimate journalism, and not about political correctness. It is about justice and ensuring that a trial can be carried out justly and fairly. It's about being innocent until proven guilty. It is about preserving the integrity of the jury to continue without people being intimidated or being affected by irresponsible and inaccurate reporting, if that's what it was. And so this guy's had a long history of being arrested. He was also, I think, charged on mortgage fraud in 2014. He's also the founder of the EDL. And so there's a lot of different stuff that's going on here. But basically, what the judge is trying to explain here is that, there's the process of obviously being innocent until proven guilty, and he's propagating otherwise. Also, his motives are very questionable again. But basically, they have these laws on the books to protect the jury and make sure that the trial is fair and doesn't get jeopardized. And these laws have been on the books in the UK for years. And there are also, while it's not as strict to my understanding, there are some laws in the US that also are similar to this that will protect certain kids' names in trials, and there are different rules, but this is where you start to actually have to get into information and anything about the masses, whether it honestly be the right or the left. They just don't, it's not something that's palatable to the masses, and therefore it's something that people just start, repeating on end, just these, one-liners of free speech, all this stuff. But he knew what was he knew what the law was as well, and he's a free speech martyr. He's trying to be one anyways, which is BS. He's also made a video saying that they're coming to get me or something like that, or I won't be on here for very long. And he knew what he was trying to do. He was trying to do this, and so far it has played out well for him. He knew what to do. He said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to become this free speech martyr by breaking a law that is trying to preserve the judicial process that's going on right now. And just law. I mean, this is something, the legal proceedings are extremely fucking important, and they're vital to any sort of country's laws whatsoever. And this is just ridiculous fake victim complexing once again.